Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is the Great American Eclipse Decoded, and I'm really excited to share all these findings with you here today. I put in the work to gather all this data, and I truly feel this presentation will one-up my last decode I released titled Yellow Bricks Road Decoded. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. It's available here, included in the Mastermind community, exclusive Patreon content. That last decode covered all the key dates and information regarding the recent 15th annual BRICS Summit and what to expect from the last FOMC meeting on September 20th in advance, and the markets responded exactly how we anticipated into this crucial time frame after the end of a Jubilee year, which only comes around once every 50 years, and also the upcoming solar eclipse on October 14th, which we will thoroughly be decoding today. So make sure to grab a pen and paper and take notes as we go through this journey. You're definitely going to want to invest your attention into this presentation, and more importantly, stay accountable by taking notes so you have something to reference later. Now, let's get into today's decode, the Great American Eclipse. You can all go to this website, greatamericaneclipse.com. You can follow along, and you will see that there are two key eclipse dates that we need to keep in mind, one of which is October 14th, 2023, right around the corner. Then the next one being in April 8th, 2024. I also have another decode that I'll be coming out with probably in the beginning of the year, talking about the month of April 2024, so stay tuned for that. You guys know that I have a lot to say about the month of April in 2024. I've already shared a lot of my thoughts on it, but I want to provide you with the decode. I want to provide you with the data and connect all the dots. This way it has some strength and it's not just opinions. So getting back to this, the first eclipse that we're going to be seeing that forms this X over the state of Texas will be on October 14th, and then the following one next year on April. Specifically, over the state of Texas is where it will cross and make this X. It's important we follow along this regarding symbolism, symbology. So Texas is where we're going to get started, and let's get over to the code. We have Texas giving us 69. We have Eclipse giving us 69 in the same cipher. And then remember, we've been talking about this number a lot over the past year. We had Silicon Valley Bank giving you 69, and it failed on March 10th of this year. And you could see right there, 69th day of the year. And if you look at the code of Silicon Valley Bank, you have it giving you 52 in Chaldean. And remember, we're in the year of the rabbit, equaling 52. Of course, this bank fails in the year of the rabbit on the 69th day of this year, which is in that code. So to dial this in more, the major cities that this eclipse will cross over is the cities of San Antonio and the state capital, Austin, Texas, which is the city that Tesla headquarters is located in. As many of you are aware, the CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk, who is 52 years old right now, just like we're in the year of the rabbit equals 52. We also have Google just turned 25, rabbit 25, as above, so below. That's the mirror. You're going to see that a lot today. And the factory of Tesla is called Gigafactory Texas. Quite a silly name, but let me show you the code. We have 52 in Chaldean. You can see there's a lot of 52s here. And we know this guy Elon was used by his handlers during the 2021 crypto bull run with the consistent promotion of Dogecoin and Shiba Inu to be sexy to the masses, to the youth. And we were just talking about this number 52 in the same cipher we have cryptocurrency. And that's why it's so key this year of the rabbit regarding this code, being that the mirror, again, 25, you have that in crypto in the same cipher, as above, so below. You have 97, again, the 25th prime. You can't escape this. We are in the year of the rabbit, and this 52 and 25 code is crucial. So I just think it's coincidental that we have Elon turning 52 and then we have Google turning 25, all in this time frame. Now we're going to break this down even more. He's the CEO of what was once called Twitter and is now called X Corp. So stay with these 25s, family. X Corp equals 25. The mirror of 52, just like we were talking about a moment ago. The social media platform was rebranded to X. So we're going to be bringing in a little bit more depth to the code, but I just want to remind you we're in the year that has a lot of this essence and energy of the 52 and 25 because we're in the year of the rabbit, going a little more esoteric. And if you haven't watched my Year of the Rabbit Decoded, please check that out. That is packed with gems. We used that decode to essentially apply to the Super Bowl and then the NBA Finals, and we got both of those, all through symbolism, all through the decode, and I don't even watch sports. So I'm giving this information to you guys so that you can use the system and apply it to what interests you. If you're interested in decoding sports, anything regarding the code involving people, places, things, you can use this code accordingly, but always focus on your mythology and your symbolism. And of course, I will be releasing a Year of the Dragon Decoded, so don't worry. That'll probably be coming out at the beginning of 2024. I have so much to share with that. That'll probably be including a lot of that information that I was talking about earlier regarding April 8th, 2024 Eclipse. That is huge. All right, so let's get back on track. This great American eclipse forms an X over this exact area, the cities of Austin, Texas, and San Antonio. So why this is so important is because these eclipses cross over the exact city associated with one of Elon's most popular companies, which is pushing the transhumanist agenda along with his company Neuralink, and that company is Tesla. So we've talked a lot about this in the past, but today we're going to just break it down a little bit more and see how we could apply this code to potential positive or negative energies in the market, specifically to crypto, because that's what we're focused on here. And this is how we take this code and we provide it. We have actual utility with it. Okay. Now, I find it very interesting that X Corp was founded on March 9th, right? March 9th, 2023, the day before Silicon Valley Bank failed. Now, the way that energy works in this realm, or the way that rituals work, is the energy has to go somewhere. So while one thing is being built, another thing is being torn down. One gets sacrificed to make way for the other. And some might be thinking, well, what does a social media platform have anything to do with a commercial bank like SVB? Well, Elon Musk himself said that X has the potential to be one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, a social media company. He said this. He also literally told Twitter employees at the time that he wants to follow in the footsteps of WeChat, which opens up a whole other conversation of what the agenda really is here. And I've shared my take on all of this in the past, but to quickly wrap up my theory, I see this move with Elon investing in X as one of the chess moves to ease into the Western world, into what's going on in China with CBDCs and a social credit score. They get this guy that's so respected on the world stage as a modern day hero to run a social media company, make you believe that he's protecting freedom of speech, this, that, and the third. And the next thing you know, they're happy to use any and all of these integrated services that come along with these updates in the future. I'm talking about the consumer, by the way, us. Then step by step, making payments on this platform becomes normalized while the banks are restricting, and then they have a slow rollout of the system without anyone even realizing it. It's a genius move by the apex predator. So this is the process of going quantum, of moving into a blockchain economy. They need to use guys like this to get the masses to do it on one of the platforms they're addicted to using, so they don't realize the banks are actually doing it. Meanwhile, the banks are doing it. Nobody notices. It's classic. So I know here at the Wolfpack, you guys aren't falling for this mess. You can see through it. And of course, they'll get away with it because it's their game and they make the rules and they keep their own kind in power, and they are handlers of the Elon Musks of the world. He is one of many that are being put in these positions to be the talking head and poster child of an agenda. That's just how it goes. Only the conscious will be able to see through this and make these realizations, and that's us. We're here decoding this scam so that we can be sure to be on the right side of the wealth transfer without letting the drama get the best of us, protecting our prana in the process. That's what makes what we're doing here in the Wolfpack so unique and so powerful. It's not to talk negatively about this man. It's to just observe this man and not worship. Because when you observe calmly and neutrally, you'll be able to see through any of this stuff. It's clear as day. Side note, Elon also founded another company on March 9th called XAI. I think that's pretty fascinating. XAI. You guys should definitely do some research into that. They do have a Wikipedia page if you want to learn more, but you can see right here, founded on March 9th, 2023, the day before Silicon Valley Bank failed. Two of these changes come to play. Look at this. The goal of XAI is to understand the true nature of the universe. Sure. Anyways, think about this. This is just bleeding coincidences. And remember earlier, I brought up the numbers 96 and 69 and those connections, such as Silicon Valley Bank equals 69 in Gematria. Let me just quickly pull that up for you guys. You can see that right here by the code. Well, this bank again failed on the 69th day of the year. You can see that right there, March 10th, 2023. Well, this symbolism of 69 is the zodiac Cancer. That's the capstone of the royal arch. And by the code, we could get into Gematria here. Cancer equals 44. Well, Elon acquired Twitter for $44 billion. You cannot make this up. Now you speak out the number 44, you have two fours. That brings you back to X, which is what he named the company. So getting back to this upcoming solar eclipse on October 14th, let's consider the day before having significance because it will be a Friday the 13th. So now we're going over to this date of 10/13, just so I could quickly show you this. This code is pretty fascinating. I have just a couple quick things to say about it, one of which it's 79 days left in the year. And I might be breaking this down a little bit more in a moment, but that's tied back to gold. And we know these eclipses dealing with sun and moon energy and sun and moon balance. Well, that comes back to gold and silver, right? Anyways, this will be a Friday the 13th before the first solar eclipse of what we're calling the Great American Eclipse. Also, there was an eclipse back in 2017 that a lot of people are talking about, and it crosses and intersects with April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse. That, again, adding even more power to my theories around the month of April. So I'm not going to be covering that today because, again, April is, 6 months away. So we don't need to worry that much about this. We need to stay local. We need to stay present as close as possible because this is really where the final moments are. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. You know, it's not just me trying to get everyone, worried or in fear or thinking that something absolutely needs to happen. It's just opportunity. Don't get too dramatic about this. Don't let it pull you emotionally. We're not trying to be emotional at all about any of this stuff, by the way. I hope you know that. Getting back to this Friday the 13th, October 13th, just a quick side note. If I go over here to Wikipedia and I go to stock market crashes, you're going to see there's a list of all the stock market crashes. And this is really, really fascinating if you study this. Let me see if I could find, boom. List of stock market crashes and bear markets. And there's one that happened Friday the 13th, October 13th, 1989. Failed leverage buyout of United Airlines. Just one single airline company caused this. That's how powerful this stuff is, family. You could have one single company go down, and you could have a flash crash that affects the entire market as a whole, just causing panic. Because what happens is people who speculate start to think, well, what's going to go on with the other airline? What's going to go on with the other? They start to just look at it so broadly instead of in isolation. And then that's where the panic selling comes. So just wanted to show you that there was a Friday the 13th mini crash that happened back in 1989. I believe there's also a couple more that have happened on Friday the 13th as well, but you guys have heard about this date and the power of it and rituals that have happened on this Friday the 13th. Again, it's not an evil day. It's not a bad day. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, it is what it is. It's a closing day for the market on a Friday, so it's easy for them to manipulate it, especially if it's landing on this rare, date. And I'm sure if we decoded United Airlines and went more into that, we could see the exact reason why it all happened. Well, now with that out of the way, of course, 2 years before this flash crash, we had the very, very, very important Black Monday, October 19th, pretty much around the same time frame. October 19, 1987, Black Monday, it was a 31% correction in just 6 trading days, and 20% of that drop happened on just one single day. The correction started on October 14th. Think about this, family. This is the exact date of the upcoming solar eclipse on October 14th that we're about to have. That was when this correction of Black Monday started. The first eclipse of the Great American Eclipse. And since we were talking about SVB earlier, if we connected the day Silicon Valley Bank failed this year, which was on March 10th, to October 18th, just to play around a little bit more closer to these dates, you could see that it is 222 days apart. The 222 code, which is very powerful. If you take from 9/11/2001 in that ritual to March 11, 2020, the day the WHO declared the pandemic, that was exactly 222 months. And C19 lasted 2 years and 2 months and 2 days, just like the Spanish flu. The predictive programming for the C19 ritual was called Event 201, and I'll show you the code there. Event 201, 222. And allegedly, there will be an emergency broadcast on October 4th set to trigger on everyone's cell phones, devices in the USA on 2:22 p.m. That's directly from, and I can't say this out loud, but it's directly from these guys. Go look up their website, .gov, type it in. Geez, look, 69, 25, right back to where we started. Texas, 69. Absolutely mind-blowing. Okay? Just keep this in mind, family. So whenever you see that 222 code that we were talking about, like this connection right here, it's definitely important. It's definitely something you want to pay attention to. And since this is the year of 223, the skull and bones number 322, the mirror, naturally the following day, of course, will be 223 days. We're in the 223 year. And that is October 19th. The same day as Black Monday back in 1987. So let's connect the dates and we could show you the anniversary. 1987 is 36 years ago. Why is this so important, this code? Well, 36 is 3 sixes, 666. And the standard date numerology of October 19th, 1987, the day of this historic flash crash, was a 36 date numerology. Mind-blowing. This was also right after the end of that Shemitah cycle from 1986 to 1987. So there's a reason why this ritual happened around that time, in this month. So not exactly where we are at, considering it's been over a full year since the last Shemitah that ended back in September 2022, but it shows us the power of the 7-year cycle, which I talk about a lot. So for any of those that are new to the community, we've been talking about this 7-year cycle since the beginning my channel launched I have been really, focused on that back in 2021 into 2022. Then we shifted to talking about the Jubilee because that's only coming around once every 50 years or 7 cycles of 7 Shemitah. And now we're out of that. So we are in the final moments, kind of having a opportunity moving into another bull run cycle. And I'm going to be breaking this down even more a little bit later in today's presentation because I'm going to show you some charts that are really compelling. I know we used to talk about 1971 through 74, comparing it to the last Jubilee with the Nixon shock and what led to Nixon's resignation and everything that went on back then. That's like a ripple effect. We had the 1973 to 1975 recession. I feel like this is very cyclical in a lot of ways, but I have another gem to share in a moment, but it's not going to be about the 70s. And I think this is going to add even more weight to what we can anticipate into the year of 2024, 2025. So getting back to this, we were just talking about it being the 36th year anniversary. With this gem I exposed regarding the number 36, we need to consider this, especially since we're focused on crypto, because we see this 36 in our big cryptos such as Bitcoin equals 36 or Ethereum equaling 36 in Chaldean. And then we have the 36th element on the periodic table, which is krypton. And krypton is the root of the word crypto. All right. It's written plain sight. All right. So cryptos, it means hidden, secret. All right. This is super, super important. 36th element. It's showing you the power of this code and how it's all tied in. Now, some tie this concept of crypto back to the crypt, and that is Saturnian, again, the Grim Reaper. That's death or skull and bones. So let's tie this all in. We have Saturn equaling 21. We talk about this often. So we have Saturn equaling 21. October 19th is the day leaving 73 days left in the year. That is the 21st prime number. And October 19th is also 21 days before November 9th, I believe. So let me show you that really quickly in the code. We're going to 2023, 21 days before November 9th. And that is, again, internationally, how you would write 9/11. It's really, really interesting stuff when you're looking at the dates in these ways. And why is that so important? Because November 9th leaves 52 days left in the year, which comes full circle to our 52 code. Like I was showing you before, cryptocurrency equals 52. We're in the year of the rabbit equals 52. 52 days left in the year on November 9th. And you guys remember, this was the day that Bitcoin had basically its cycle low last year. Well, we also have another thing to show in the code, which comes back to krypton. I was talking about that a moment ago, being the 36th element. Krypton equals 119, just like this is 119 date. 21 days before this date, 73 days left in the year equals the 21st prime number. This is all coming back to Saturn, which means it comes back to Satoshi Nakamoto, which means it ties to Bitcoin, which means it is talking about the entire cryptocurrency asset. This is really powerful stuff, guys. I hope you're taking notes. So this time frame around the upcoming solar eclipse is absolutely packed with connections between the Friday the 13th to the 36th anniversary of Black Monday. I want you to take notes on that. That gives you a very good time frame to consider. And because these are all happening during weekdays, we have the 13th being a Friday. That's very powerful. Market will be closed Saturday and Sunday on the actual days of the eclipses, opening back up on Monday through this Thursday. That gives you a window of time to kind of see, especially the weekend being crypto only during the solar eclipse. That could definitely impact specifically what we're focused on here. So my intuition tells me that we've had these major shifts in the market during this time frame in October because of the transition from Virgo into Libra. I'm going to get into that really quickly just show you guys the charts so you have something to consider. Boom. Right here, we have this transition between Virgo into Libra in sidereal. You can see that September 17th through November 16th. This time frame right there is very powerful. It's where we've seen some of our most historic market crashes. Now, that makes a lot of sense because moving from Virgo, the Virgin, purity, into Libra, the scales, balance, it's telling a story. So let me get a little bit deeper into the code here and we could break this down. But that's what I believe. I follow sidereal a lot closer when it comes to being accurate with the markets. And I feel that that's most likely why we're getting these historic crashes during this time. The transition of Virgo into Libra and sidereal. So Libra, the scales, we have 59. 59 is the 17th prime. 17 is your 7th prime number, back to the number 7. This is why during the Shemitah, we have a run-up to an extremely overbought market. We call a bull run. And then during the same Shemitah cycle, we have these historic crashes because it needs to be leveled out energetically. This symbol is always tied back, the scales, it's always tied back to law and justice, fairness, Lady Liberty. This is Themis, which means order. And what's the apex predator slogan? It's Ordo ab Chaos, order out of chaos. But let's get back to the code specifically regarding some of the key words of this upcoming eclipse. The Great American Eclipse is also called the Ring of Fire Eclipse. So let me type that in really quickly to the code. And 1 second, family, I'm just going to take a quick sip of coffee. So I'm sure some of you are thinking, Ring of Fire, where have I heard that before? Well, this instantly made me think of the song Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. And literally his last name is Cash, associated with money and finance. He was called the Man in Black. Who's the Man in Black? That's Saturn, the Grim Reaper, the Black Cube, right? Saturnian aesthetic is always black. This is why the judges wear these black robes. So I thought this was really funny to think about, and I did this the last time I made a decode with the song Georgia by Ray Charles. Well, not by Ray Charles, but popularly made by Ray Charles. And bringing in that element was mind-blowing. And that's been a big part of my decoding technique lately, is to just go back to pop culture, go back to things that, you know, we've all heard of, and see how some of the key dates and some of the player characters that are involved in this stuff can make our code more balanced out, and see if there's any nuggets of truth hidden in this and some gems. Well, I found something. This song came out in 1963. Mirror of the number 63 is 36. We were talking about that earlier. Well, Johnny Cash equals 36 in Chaldean, right? This is powerful stuff. Also, this 117, which comes back to Bitcoin. I'll just show you that really quickly, but you can see that there. So Johnny Cash equaling 36. Well, Austin, Texas equals 36. Remember, we were talking about this earlier, how this Great American Eclipse crosses over that city. Well, Ring of Fire, it's giving you some powerful numbers. We have 71. That's your 20th prime number. You can see that right there. And the city of Austin, giving you 20 in Chaldean. This song was released back on April 19th of 1963. This year, April 19th, was right into the solar eclipse that started out our current solar cycle. Again, perfectly tied into this topic of eclipses for today's decode. This was literally right into our eclipse day that started the new solar cycle. Everything about this market is pivoting off of lunar and solar eclipses depending on solar cycle or lunar cycle. Solar cycle means the solar eclipses are stronger. Lunar cycle means lunar eclipses are stronger. That's why in the year of 2022, we saw every lunar eclipse, we took another hit and went down in the market cyclically, specifically to crypto, because Bitcoin is tied directly to this energy, not as much with something like the S&P. All right. So when we're focused on crypto, we really need to dial that in and be aware of this stuff, because that's what gives us the biggest edge on this extremely volatile asset, which is also the asset, not only Bitcoin, but all the cryptos that have the most ROI opportunity, the most opportunity for profits. That's probably why you're here. Okay. So this is one of the most mind-blowing connections I found while doing this decode, is that the song was actually written by Johnny Cash's second wife, June Carter Cash, whose full name is Valerie June Carter Cash. Let me type that in. It's very American to have like 4 names. Anywho, Valerie June Carter Cash, giving you 69 in Chaldean. All right, we were talking about this number a lot in the beginning. Remember, Texas? Giving you that code, Eclipse giving you that code. That's exactly what we're talking about here. And John R. Cash, 96, the mirror, all right? The Shemitah back when it was going on, ending during the day, leaving 96 days left in the year. So this is so powerful, guys. The Queen died at 96. We talk about this a lot, but John R. Cash, this guy's name, the guy who wrote the guy who's popularly known to be singing this song on the world stage, 96. And he also has that 42, just like Saturn has the 42. And that's his nickname, the Man in Black. That's Saturn. I truly tried digging deep to see what his middle name was regarding this John R. Cash. And just a side note, that's literally how his name was wrote. It was just R. So it's really, it was supposed to be Ray, but it just ended up being R. Pretty interesting. Anyways, given this time frame of 1963, that's what I want to focus on moving forward. This gave me all the information I needed. All right. So given this time frame of 1963, I decided to go back to that market and see what was going on then. And I identified a very interesting structure. So we're going to go to the weekly chart of the Dow Jones, and we're going to check out what was going on back in 1963. Going to be turning off as much as we can so that we can make these charts nice and clean. Again, we're on the Dow Jones chart. We're looking at the weekly. It's taking a second to load, but we will get there. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. All right. So what I would like to do is we're going to first go to the .com bubble. This was back in March 2020, or sorry, March 2000, excuse me. A lot going on in my mind right now. Got to get back on the rails. So technically, according to Wikipedia and what a lot of people have said, the bubble popped basically March 2000. 1 year before we had the 9/11 ritual. And we talked about that before, that 222 connection and how powerful that was. Well, that was leading into the year 2002, 22, right? 22, master builder, master destroyer number. That's the purpose. You have a new asset that gets all the prana called tech, and then you ritualize it. Huge correction. And we're looking at the Dow, so it doesn't look as bad over here as it does in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was devastating correction. But I think the Dow is better because we have all this data going back a very long time before World War II. So I just want to focus on the .com bubble for a second right over here. And then we have this second crash, which happened in 2008. 2007 subprime mortgage bubble. But I'm going to be specific, okay? So take note on this. March 2000, .com bubble. Subprime mortgage bubble around 2007, July. So remember, March 1st, July 2nd. Then let's go back to March 1937, okay? And we're here. You see, first peak, big correction. Then we have here into July of 46. Very similar structure, even with higher highs on the second peak. Here we had an immediate lower, bigger correction. That would be similar to like looking at the NASDAQ, because we had a big hit first and then we had a little lesser of a hit in the NASDAQ, but it's kind of like mirrored and reversed. And that makes a ton of sense because back here we didn't have tech. In 2000 into 2008 we did. Here, what we called technology was a totally different thing than what we called it back in 2000. And what we called technology back in 2000 is a totally different thing today, 20 years later, right? So I'm just fascinated by the structure, by this being comparable to the dot-com bubble. Look at this run up, by the way. Pretty massive. I know we had this huge crash because of the Great Depression, but this is a textbook automatic rally. So we can see the way that this run up was: big rally, large correction, second run, slightly higher high. Then we're going to go over here. So we have rally, March, you end your correction, come down, then you come up, higher high, bull trap, correction. And then since then, you're on this perpetual move for quite a while. That's what we're noticing here too. 1, 2 peak, rally for an eternity, what it at least would seem like. So fascinating. I think we are onto something, family. Especially, let's go into the timing. Both iterations took about 1,400 days to recover, or about 4 years. Now, that is something we see in both cycles onto new highs. And in 1946, right here, this recovery, after this recovery right here, it went on a 16-year rally, okay? 16 years of an uptrend. It's pretty crazy. But if we look at specifically 1963, which is, let me get to it exactly right here. If we get to 1963, which we identified from the song Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, which was exactly 60 years ago. Now look at the rally we had off of this recovery from the end of this recent Shemitah. You see how we come back into almost all-time highs around this exact time? And considering the two prior big corrections we had and how we've been on a run-up since. So we have two big corrections. We have a run-up all the way into this time frame over here. We had an all-time high pretty much at the beginning of the year in 1962, correction, and then recovery the following year. Correction, recovery. Amazing how similar this all is. So if we zoom into 1963, you'll see that we recovered within all-time highs, just like we did this time. Got up to about here, even kind of a double top energy into a correction at summertime, probably like August. Now, what is different is we went on and continued to have structure moving up into 64, 65, and even into 66. There's something that tells me that we could be mimicking something similar, but I think it would be more fair to actually measure the time frame, measure the days. So if we look at what happened after we hit this peak in 1966, you'd see how long we were sideways before we recovered again. That was a very long time. That was almost 20 years of sideways. That could be what's going on into the years of 2026 and forward. After the next Shemitah that we have, we could be just in a sideways market for a very long time and down. These markets can't just continue to go parabolic forever. There's reasons that they ritualize with the Federal Reserve and printing all this money at once, but we're about to move into a new system. You guys all know this. So I'm considering all things here, but I just find it really fascinating. So let's copy the same idea over from here around this peak over to when this all stalled out. It took about 7,200 days. All right. Now, if we were to do the same thing to go from the peak of this subprime mortgage crisis bubble and go over 7,200 days, you're going to see that it brings us to August of 2027. Our next Shemitah is Rosh Hashanah 2028 until 2029, the Hebrew year of 5,789. It will be the Chinese year of the monkey into the year of the rooster. This is an absolute gem, family. If this plays out how I see it going, it aligns perfectly with my long-term investment thesis I've been talking about now for 2 years. To summarize it, I don't see America being dethroned until we get the 100-year cycle of the Great Depression, which would be moving into 2029. It will start and be triggered by the year of the Shemitah in 2027 into 2028 specifically, and then it will start to go downhill. Until then, it remains king, and the USD will be the cleanest dirty laundry out of the fiat currencies. I've been saying this for a long time now, but this pattern I realized is very telling. It supports my theory. It also supports another theory I have, that this upcoming bull run is really the last big opportunity we have, because if we look back at what happened in this cycle over here, we can see that was the case. We had this rally go on for about 16 years, and once it stalled out, it stayed sideways for a very long time, very choppy. There was still money to be made. Absolutely. But do you guys think crypto is just going to continue to go up and up and up and up forever? Absolutely not. That's not how things work. We've had some really dramatic bull runs in crypto, and that volatility is going to shrink when it becomes retail friendly and a household name, and when everyone is using it. When it becomes public, it's going to lose its volatility. I know that a lot of people specifically focused on XRP have the opposite theory, and I keep trying to tell them how wrong they are. Everything loses its volatility when it becomes popular. Crypto is not popular yet. If you look into the statistics, very few people in the world actually have any of it. And the ones who do probably have about $400 or less. And all the whales are concentrated. It's a small group that owns most of it. What does that sound like? Sounds like every other thing that regards back to finance. It's the 99% own very little and the 1% own it all. It's no different in crypto. It's time to wake up, people. I know that people have this idea that by all of this stuff becoming more user-friendly and more retail driven, that it'll somehow become these parabolic crazy numbers that people want. And it's like, that's a fairy tale. Just go study other asset classes when they were in the similar stage as Bitcoin or any other crypto, and you'll see what happened after it became normalized. It lost its volatility until a new invention came out. And right now we have some new inventions that are coming out that are boom and bust. It's going too quick. Technology is moving too fast, and it's becoming obsolete quickly. There's this thing called planned product obsolescence. And with things like AI, software becomes obsolete the quickest, and it gets updated the quickest. So you can't fall for this stuff, family. Like, you got to be aware. People back during the NFT days, they thought NFTs were here to stay and that it was going to be revolutionary and it was going to just continue to go up and up and up. And what happened? Recently, the entire NFT market was valued at a 99% loss from where it was. That's not good. That's not promising. No sophisticated investor would ever look at that number and say, that sounds like a good place to put all of my money. No, it's a bunch of children playing with nickels and hoping for the best. There's nothing wrong with NFTs. That's not really where I'm going here. And I hope you guys appreciate these kind of, segues, because it gets you into the mindset of the wealthy, not the mindset of the poor. The poor are always trying to get rich quick, and they're trying to make a quick buck, and they will make content about how it's the future and it's the this and it's the that, but they don't know the plan. You got to know the plan. When you see the way this is all moving, you'll see exactly where you should be positioned and what you should avoid. What are distractions and what is truth? And all the people that were perpetuating this NFT thing back in 2021, they're probably not singing the same song today. So getting back to this, I just wanted to share the theory behind these two peak cycles, considering 2000 and 2008, the two cycles that we had, back-to-back larger corrections, which then lead to a 16-year rally, just like we have here. Cycle, cycle, corrections, and then a very long uptrend rally. Like this C19 crash is barely even noticeable, to be honest. We just moved right up to a new all-time high after it. Very, very similarly to what was going on back here with every correction. We just continue to move up and up and up. And we're at a point now where it's more than likely going to come to a conclusion very, very soon. And I think it has everything to do with moving into the year of the monkey. So just wanted to share this. I think that this was huge. I would not have even been able to find this connection if it wasn't for this Johnny Cash song, Ring of Fire, which came about through finding the name, the alternative name to this eclipse that's coming up very soon, the Ring of Fire eclipse. It's crazy how this decoding flow state works. This gem helps with confidence in where we are at in this cycle, I believe, and it tells me that any corrections moving forward are buying opportunities. We could even consider the election years. It's 2023 now, making this a pre-election year. So 1963 was also a pre-election year. 1964 was during an election year, and we went into price discovery back then. So pre-election year, 63, price discovery in the election year. Look at where we're at now. We're in the pre-election year today, within prior all-time highs. More than likely price discovery into 2024, noticeable by Q2, Q3 for the stock market. Going to be very noticeable most likely for crypto because of the cycle that it runs on, which is a tighter cycle. I taught this in my crypto mastermind course, how crypto cycles are about 3 to 5 years, whilst we have in the traditional markets, it's on 7-year cycles, more tied to the Shemitah, which gives you every other cycle for crypto is non-Shemitah years, which is very obvious why we had that beautiful 2016 through 2018 rally. That did not look anything like 2014. And if you look at what crypto did in the 2017 to 2018 market, it was nothing like what the stock market was doing. And that wasn't even just because it was crypto and it was new. Back then, it was called a scam by more people. It was less retail involvement. It was harder to invest in. It was less known. Think about what I'm saying, family. It's not about that stuff. It's about gematria, numerology, astrology. You know this by now. That's what's running this market. So we had that 1964 presidential election concept that I'm bringing up, and guess who won that presidency? That would be Lyndon B. Johnson. I don't really know if he won, really. He was selected. But let me just go to his Wikipedia page really quickly so I could show you some of the numbers. Lyndon B. Johnson, 36th president of the United States. We were talking a lot before about the number 36. This is going to get wild. Lyndon B. Johnson is from the state of Texas. I'm going to show you that really quickly, just so I'm backing up everything I'm saying. You could see, born in Texas, died in Texas. Oh my God, it's crazy. He was born on he died on January 22nd. January 22nd was the day of Chinese New Year this year, and died in 1973, 21st prime number in 73. Wow, amazing. I didn't even think of that. There you go. So with this Texas connection, we're talking about the Great American Eclipse forming an X over the state of Texas. He was the 36th president of the United States. We're about to have the 36th anniversary of Black Monday, which happened on a 36 date numerology back in 1987. You could see that right here. And Lyndon Johnson was the president that was sworn in immediately after JFK's assassination, after Kennedy got assassinated. Kennedy was assassinated in Texas, in Dallas. I told you guys I wasn't playing around. I told you this decode would be packed with gnosis. So we know Kennedy was coded into all of this because RFK Jr. is running for president in this upcoming election. And how old is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? He is 69 years old. How crazy is that? Just like Texas is 96, or 69, excuse me. Again, RFK Jr., who's running for president, 69 years old. In this exact year, Texas equals 69, Eclipse equals 69, right? And we're about to have this great American eclipse over the state of Texas. The Kennedy that was a president got assassinated in the state of Texas. The guy that takes over his spot, who's the 36th president, is born and died in the state of Texas. So, I know, it's a lot, right? JFK was assassinated the same year the song Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash was released. Crazy. Literally. Like, this is all telling a story here. Okay? So, keep in mind that unless Biden wins the next election, the next president in 2024 will be the 47th president. This number 47 is very important in my work. I talked about it a lot back in 2021 and 2022 during the Shemitah, especially being the 15th prime number, and how many things are tied to this number 15, and how anything that was tied to that number would be unlucky in the year of the tiger. So a negative essence, tiger giving you 15. Anything that was tied to that back in that year was a negative essence. That's why the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL, lost not only the Super Bowl in the year of the tiger, but they also lost leading into the game that would have brought them to the Super Bowl in the last playoffs. That essence was negative for them, okay? And something that's mind-blowing, you know, the quarterback was named Joe Burrow. Go look up the Lincoln assassination and how one of the people that was involved in the Lincoln assassination was called Joe Burrow. It's like we're in a simulation. So if you don't take these little nuggets and consider them, like this Ring of Fire song by Johnny Cash in the same year, Kennedy assassination, look at the market back then, all things considered, election year, you know, I mean, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So getting back to this 47th element on the periodic table, which is silver. All right, this is definitely powerful stuff. We have 47th element being silver, which has an atomic mass of 107. All right, so let me show you 107 again. That's Ring of Fire equals 107. Remember, the Great American Eclipse is not only this eclipse that's happening during this next month, it's also happening in the election year, April 8th, crossing over the state of Texas. So how wild is it that the 47th president tied to the 47th element, silver, 107, giving you this Ring of Fire code? Also, another important 107 is currency. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about money. We're also moving into the age of Aquarius is giving you 107. Also that 21, who rules the age of Aquarius alongside Uranus. It is Saturn giving you that 21 code. But Aquarian essence is the blockchain economy. The Ring of Fire is the dragon's mouth. We're moving into the year of the dragon next year in 2024 during this next presidential election. We talked a lot about this number 24 earlier. We have the April 8th eclipse in 2024, which completes this great American eclipse during the Hebrew year of 5,784. 5784 adds up to 24. X is the 24th letter in the alphabet. We have plenty of code to utilize, and it seems these rituals are leaning towards the negative energies, but remember, everything regarding energy needs something to cancel it out. So perhaps it's reversed, comparing back then regarding the politics side of things. For example, Biden gets taken out before the next election and RFK Jr. gets in. Again, that's just an example. I really don't care what happens. I don't follow politics. It doesn't concern me. But to give you guys an idea here of a canceling out of energy. I did the same methodology during the Super Bowl Decoded when I was showing you we had positive aspects, negative aspects. You had to come up who would be the net winner out of them. And that's why I told everyone, expect that Super Bowl to be super close. Very, very close. I've seen that in the Tiger year leading into the Rabbit year, sports scores in these championships, they're like neck and neck. And that was exactly how that last Super Bowl went. That's what made it so difficult to decode. And we see the winner was barely happening. They won in the last moments, just like the Super Bowl before it. You see the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in the same fashion as the Bengals lost the Super Bowl last time. It was like the weirdest simulation repeat. Anyways, I don't want to talk too much about that. Just to finish up today's decode. So gave you guys an example of how you could determine how this would all go, but because we're hearing about all these connections to the 36 and assassinations and, everything with this eclipse, it seems pretty coded in, very obvious. And I think Biden's birthday is the 20th of November, I believe, which means that 2 days after would be the 60th anniversary of JFK's assassination, and it connects to the upcoming solar eclipse on October 14th. Let me show you this by the code. So we have 11/22 of 2023. I'm going to go to 2023, and we had this date of the eclipse on the 14th, and that is connected by 39 days. And why this caught my attention is November 22nd is the day leaving 39 days left in the year, and World War II started in 1939. We know there is a lot of war themes going on right now since the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and I shared my gnosis on this several times regarding the Balkan nations and how I feel those will be ritualized the most, unfortunately, of course. And after that historic flooding that happened in Greece recently and in Turkey and the earthquakes and everything else, it's pretty obvious they're targeting these places, right? And a reminder, I said the next big ritual will be an air ritual. Well, expect that in October. Probably, well, I'll get to that in a moment, but I told you water rituals would happen after the fire rituals. We saw how that turned out with Burning Man and all those record-breaking floods in a very short period of time to follow. Well, I suspect the air ritual will happen before the solar eclipse, probably during the 40th to 41st weeks of this year, to be exact. And remember, family, protect your prana right now. It's key to thriving in this matrix. We're definitely going through a transition right now, and the apex predator is the grandmaster chess player thinking 100 moves ahead, and 99% of the world's population is asleep at the wheel, doing what they do best, which is being obedient. And this air ritual is most likely going to activate those jabs they got back in 2021. Ultimately, it's a sun and moon ritual. It was called Corona. That is your sun, right? Now we're getting eclipsed. So during the month of October of this year, almost every major, I don't want to say it, but type it out. Every one of these, you got 47. We're about to have the 47th president. Remember, I just told you that. Will be hitting 2 years and 2 months, and sometimes, in some cases, 2 years and 200 days, since a lot of them were being given out to the world to use, to take. So remember, I told you about the 222 code. Well, it'll be hitting about the 2 year, 2 month, and 2 day mark. 2 years, 2 months, 2 days, excuse me. Some sort of combinations of twos, of course, because there was all these different companies involved. And this is the ritual. I'm not here to spread fear. I'm just telling you what's up because this awareness is important. All right. In closing, we have been prepared for this time frame between the end of Jubilee into October 14th solar eclipse. I am personally seeing this as a time frame of opportunity to be positioned to take action if this market comes down. We're not trying to get perfect buy-ins or perfect price targets. That's not what this is about. It's about positioning yourself accordingly to your own investment thesis based on your numbers, your cash flow, and your targets. We're just a couple of weeks out from this eclipse, so make sure to keep active in our Discord and ask questions to the community as needed. We're all here to help. I've been very thorough on my trading plan here and in my last couple of Red Pill podcasts, so please make sure to rewatch those and take notes instead of DMing me with the repeat questions. I get hundreds of messages each day, and it's overwhelming sometimes to get questions regarding answers I've just given in a recent video. I'm sure you understand, and I appreciate you sharing your questions with the community in the Discord when needed. That's the best practice. And of course, I'll be keeping you guys updated every step of the way in the what I'm buying and selling tab inside of the Discord. Whenever I'm making any moves, I will continue to share all my thoughts on this upcoming Red Pill podcast. Any of that information I will let you guys know firsthand, so don't worry, I'll be prioritizing the updates. Also, if you see me doing any selling, I already told you the reason I'm doing it. It's to purposefully take a loss for tax loss harvesting. That is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what you should be doing. Do not copy me. This is something that I consulted with my tax professional, with my accountant, and I think you should have the same conversation. If you're interested in something like this, don't just blindly follow anyone, including me. Make sure that your plan is based off your numbers, your tax situation, your cash flow, your life, your family, etc. All right? That's how we have self-reliance. And I think that where we're at right now, it's just for me a good opportunity to take a loss to help with the capital gains that I'm going to be paying on the XRP profit that I got this year. When I was selling off my XRP, I got hit with capital gains on that, of course, because it was a really nice play, and I'm just strategizing, and this is my way of balancing things out. And I could buy back in with the same fiat or the same stable coins immediately after. Again, do your own research. I know there's going to be a lot of questions that come from stuff like that, so please follow the instructions I just shared. Reach out to the community, ask the questions there. They'll all chime in. Again, I'm wishing you all an incredible rest of your week in the Matrix. Much love.